Alright, everybody. Welcome to a Cartoon Kilowatt.
Cartoon.
Snipples
T.Whales.
and T.Whales. He might be a whale. I don't know. So, click. Today, Stray isn't here again. He's still doing ecstasy with his high school buddies. He's on a very long trip. So, seeing how T.Whales did his thing on the last episode, it is my turn again. And, I really didn't feel like putting any effort to it. So, what it ended up doing is what we're going to talk about are two songs that I've been listening to. So let's continue. Two songs because my description of them are going to be pretty short. All things considered. They're not songs with that much depth. First thing we're going to talk about is this song by Anderson .Paak, or Anderson .Paak. There's a dot in front of it, and my experience with .hack does not allow me to just ignore it. I have to say it all the time, every time. So the first song is Come Down. I will not be playing a snippet of it because copyright things scare me. But what it is essentially it sounds like a modernized James Brown song over a funky bass. So, yeah. If I were to say what it was about getting so turned up that it would take forever for you to calm down. And then, see, I'm moving on to the next one. Like I said, very short. That's why I had to do two. The other one is by, you tell me if this is right, because I don't know, but it's in Spanish, but it might be made up. Fantastic Negrito, or Negreto. Negrito?
Negrito.
Is that a word?
What, Negrito?
Yes.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Black.
I thought black was just like Negro.
Negro.
Or Negro.
Negro. Negra.
Yeah.
Yeah, Negrito. It's still the same thing.
Oh. This man's name is Fantastic Black. But, last year I watched Hand of God, which was a show that was developed by Amazon with Ron Perlman, because I love some Ron Perlman. And it had this theme song. It's like a very dark, gritty blues theme song.
It also refers to people from Southeast Asia that have dark skin. They're essentially black.
Well, I've seen this man. And he's not from Southeast Asia.
Was he black?
If anything, he might be from, like, Detroit, Michigan. But yeah, he's black.
Right.
But it's a foot stomping blues song with lots of spiritual humming, and this song is actually about something. Not to say that the last one wasn't, but yeah, what it is exactly, like most songs, can be up to interpretations. But the way I have read it is, this guy was with this Asian hooker, and he didn't want to pay her, and she's like, his life probably sucked, he wasn't in a good mood, but he killed this woman instead of paying her. and it made him feel good again. So now he runs the streets killing people. Even though that after he kills someone, and after he gets that satisfaction, that feeling like, oh yeah, I have ultimate power, he feels like shit. So it's this up and down that he gets from killing people. That's what I think the song is about. And that may sound super macabre, and it is, but it doesn't sound that way. Dark, but not macabre. This is not Voltaire. For the record, I do enjoy Voltaire. You remember who Voltaire is?
Voltaire.
You might not know the name, but he did the Brain song in Billy and Mandy.
Oh.
He did a couple of songs for Billy and Mandy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
And those are my picks. So if you're interested, go and listen to those. Come Down is about just under 3 minutes. Fantastic Negrito, An Honest Man, 4 minutes, 4 seconds. And we are moving on. And what we are reviewing today is The Mask.
TV series.
That's a very important differentiation to make. So, to start with, The Mask is the first movie I ever saw in theaters. Saw it, I must have been 4 or 5 years old. So, naturally, while it probably is never going to be on my favorite movies list, like my top 5 or my top 10, granted, I will never make such a list because that would be way too difficult.
Super.
It has a place in my heart. Everybody wanted me to see Lion King. That's what we were supposed to be seeing. I just saw this poster of this guy with a green face. I'm like, nah, I want to see that. And when we came home, Mom was like, oh, did you guys enjoy Lion King? And it was like, nah, didn't see Lion King. We saw that. Which, of course, is referring to The Mask. Uh, so, this cartoon, it's, this is going to be difficult. It's going to be real difficult. Just to get out of the way, this was not an enjoyable experience for me. So let's try to talk about the opening. That's part of the difficult. Okay. So the opening is half randomness, half explaining what's going on. And everything you need to know about this series, you get from the opening. It's, first of all, Yo Yogi style, blatant catchphrases. Okay? Catchphrases that have me going, are you for real? Like,
and
we
everything
understand.
and everything from the opening animation is from like the first episode.
I didn't notice that.
Clips. They're all just clips from the first episode. Well,
That's super lazy.
first two considering this format.
Yeah. Listen, you're gonna hear somebody stop me, and you're gonna hear smoking, and you're gonna hear them a lot. A lot, a lot. And the other thing that's weird is you have the voice actor doing.
This voice actor, by the way, is Rob Paulson from
Yeah,
Animaniacs.
as T.Whales referred me earlier, Yakko, who in my opinion was the best Animaniac.
And Pinky.
But what you have here is a guy trying to do a Jim Carrey impression, and at the same time he's trying to do other impressions the way Jim Carrey would do those impressions.
Mm.
So you see how complicated that is and why that really doesn't quite work. it's, you're doing an impressionist impressions, or an impression of an impressionist. It gets complicated. I don't. Ah, the point is, it's super weird to listen to. So let's get on to the first episode because I do not want to confuse myself or you any further than I already have.
I just want you to point out
First,
something. This episode begins the exact same way the opening song begins.
oh yeah, I brought up the name of the episode. I haven't even said it yet. This episode is called "The Mask is Always Greener on the Other Side," Part One.
Please let us be sure to tell the audience that this show assumes you have seen the movie The Mask and are familiar with the characters. But just remember that take the ending of the movie The Mask and then just throw it out because it didn't happen.
It does not reward you. It punishes you for not knowing the movie, but it doesn't reward you for having seen it.
Yeah, but having seen the movie, you are aware of who the character is, his life, what's going on, who some of the characters are. And by some of the characters, I mean not the villains.
Yeah, not the villains. Basically, Cameron Diaz, she's gone.
Jim,
Why? I don't know. She's just gone.
yeah,
Alright, the first episode, he has a crush on some Swedish police security officer.
who works at the
And
bank.
I was like, okay. And at first, I didn't know that the movie happened. But then later, they talk about the movie, and I'm like, well, now I'm all confused. Where's Cameron Diaz? He was hooking up with Cameron Diaz.
No,
Because if you take her out of the equation, right? Like, if she just never existed, would anything in that first movie had happened at all?
well, now they're just friends.
How do you know? She's not in this. She's not in these three
No, no,
else.
no. I mean, like, wait, what was it? No, that was her.
Peggy is not her.
You sure?
Positive. Peggy is the woman that betrayed him in the first episode. In the movie. Now I'm calling the movie the first episode. Peggy's a shit, and she has always been a shit.
Okay, I thought I had. That shows you how much I freaking remember about the mask.
We'll go back into that later. I want to start with the fact that our very first depiction of Stanley here, he's plotting to deviously attack his landlord. That's messed up. This is our protagonist, people. And he's like, ah, you know what? I'm gonna put on the mask and ruin this person's life.
Milo, do
Never
not.
in the movie has he done anything next to that
Milo, don't.
intentionally devious.
Milo, don't put on the mask. The mask is wrong. Let me put on the mask. uh, his dog is voiced by Megatron.
Why does dog get a dog?
And Soundwave. And Skywarp. And
Okay,
he's all
we get it. His dog is actually a transformer. It explains his intelligence.
It's Megatron and Soundwave and all of Soundwave's tapes.
He's a beast machine. They waste almost no time
Yeah.
replacing Stanley with the mask.
Yeah. Like, Stanley barely appears. Yeah, because the show's only about the mask. Stanley's just there to whine and complain.
Yeah. And that's another thing. We know for a fact that this takes place after the movie. All the lessons learned by Stanley, like all that reaffirming you don't have to be shy, you can go out there and just be you and be accepted and be competent. All that is gone.
Like I said, the take what the end of the movie didn't happen. Cameron Diaz's character gone, doesn't exist.
So
I think it's more like this: like the events of the movie happened, but he never got together with Cameron Diaz's character, so he never got his character development.
you never got that
This
confidence.
is the alternate universe where the Mask 2 doesn't happen.
The Mask 2 doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So here,
That's the darkest.
the Mask finds the landlord, stuffs her mouth with cigarettes, so he can say smoking, and they ended up being explosives. Not harmful ones because of tune physics, but still,
Because the mask doesn't like killing people. He doesn't
well,
like injuring people. He only does cartoon gags to them.
Ipkiss Mask doesn't like killing people.
Oh
The
yeah,
Mask itself probably doesn't give a shit.
yeah, yeah. Didn't he do that whole gag with her in the movie?
There were a lot of gags with her in the movie. I don't think a cigarette one was
Okay,
among them.
okay.
I was kind of surprised there was a cigarette in this cartoon. This was before they said no cigarettes in cartoons now. So, um, I have seen this cartoon before when I was young. I think it used to come on maybe, I don't know, one of those basic cable network channels early in the morning before school. That's the only time I ever caught it. And then a robbery happens, and the mask shows up, and he tries to stop this robbery. Partially because he has this superhero thing going on in this cartoon. Partially because he wants to smang this woman. Now, there are a lot of gags in these 3 episodes, but they happen so fast. Most of them aren't very good that I'm really not going to go into detail with any of them. I'm just going to say, he fought these robbers. And he actually lets them get away. Why? Again, because he's super horny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sad there. But after that, Peggy shows up at his apartment. And like I said, Peggy's a shit. She was a shit in the movie where she turned Stanley in to that other guy for reward money or whatever the hell she did it for. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And she's a shit here because all she wants to do is use Stanley to get her career going. She just wants to make news stories about the mask because they sell. She doesn't care about Stanley's well-being. She doesn't care about what's actually happening to him or how he could get hurt or whatever. She's just using him to make money.
Like
So
friends
it's
do.
and that's the thing. Stanley still regards her as a friend, but to her, he's just a meal ticket. This character really shouldn't be in this cartoon. It doesn't make sense why after the events of the first movie and her continuing rela- poor relationship with him that they would still be friends. It doesn't make any sense. Charlie from the movie is here too. Whereas Peggy was a shit the whole time through all incarnations. Charlie was likable in the first movie, and he's a shit in this cartoon.
Yeah, apparently he's the bank manager now. So he's moved
Yep.
up and left Stanley in the dust.
And he's just using Stanley like everybody else.
Yeah. And the show is using Stanley just so the mask can exist.
Sometimes it's hard being a cartoon character, especially when your alter ego is the main character and you just have to deal with it.
That's how Sailor Moon
Uh,
feels.
I bet. We learned, yeah, Charlie's the manager. We learned that Stanley's secret identity is one of the worst kept secrets ever. Charlie almost found out that he was the mask again. The 2 detectives from the movie are, well, one of them, just like, one of them, just like the movie, still thinks that Stanley is the mask. Didn't he find out at the end of the movie that Stanley was the mask? Don't worry about it. Of
Probably,
course,
yeah, but like I said, throw out the end of
Peggy
that
still
movie.
knows that Stanley is the
Like I
mask.
said, throw out the end of that movie.
You have to throw out more than the end. You have to throw out the last half.
That's fine.
Yeah, he definitely knew because he broke Stanley out of prison. He was in that whole thing. So, no, well, he didn't break Stanley out of prison, but anyway, worst kept identity ever. Like the evil scientist pretty much finds out that, it must be Ipkiss because everybody thinks it's Ipkiss. Now, the evil scientist, first things first,
Voiced by Tim Curry.
he is voiced by Tim Curry. He looks like his face should be on a bucket of chicken.
What?
Yeah, he kind of looks like a rooster, especially that rooster from The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mmm. Yeah, the robot chicken.
And that's relevant because he's half robot. This guy, he cut his head off so that he can multitask better. His body can do things, his robot body, and now his head can do things because it has little spider robot feet.
King Hydroflash should have thought of that.
That is the worst solution to ADHD I have ever heard. Of course, he has his henchman, who's this dumb Frankenstein esque person with no backstory.
Other than he
So,
wants the mask.
the henchman?
No, that. Oh, I thought I was thinking of the guy henchman. Yeah, he's just a Frankenstein guy.
Yeah, he's just a
I
Frankenstein
was
guy.
thinking of the Tim Curry guy.
Yeah, the scientist. Nobody knows his name. The scientist.
I'll find out.
Don't find out. He's not worthy. His plan is to get the mask.
Pretorius.
Notorious?
Pretorius.
Pretorius.
Yeah.
That's a stupid name.
Yeah. And the Frankenstein guy, I believe, is called Walter.
Okay, that's an okay name. I might use that.
Oh, he's named after Dr. Septimus Pretorius from The Bride of Frankenstein. Get it?
Are you for real?
I am for real.
So, the scientist, his plan is to take the mask, clone it somehow, and create an army of mask wearing people for reasons. And he's one of these villains that wants to take over the world for no reason. But if he just sold and patented the technology that he had, he would be a bazillionaire. A bazillionaire. And he wouldn't have to worry about anything ever again. But no, he can't just be greedy like the rest of us. He has to have ambitions.
Evil ambitions to rule the
So,
world, of course.
back in the Stanleyverse, i.e., his apartment, this woman keeps dropping his baby.
I know. What was this lady? She's driving his baby onto this
I
guy.
don't know, but she does not give a damn about her baby.
Like,
She just keeps dropping his baby over at Stanley's house, and the baby puts on the mask.
oh my god.
And
No,
yeah.
I just realized
Why do people keep thinking that giving babies the mask is a good
this.
idea?
This is the origin of the mask too. This is where they got the idea to make it.
I wish this didn't happen in this cartoon, and I wish it never happened in that movie. And unfortunately, both this cartoon and that movie share a lot of the same issues. It only starts with this baby. Also, and this is a problem that happens throughout all these three episodes. It probably happens throughout the majority of this series, but I'm going to talk about it now, so I won't have to talk about it later. How the mask works. You put it on, it brings out your super ego. Stanley Ipkiss is the way that he is because he's sexually repressed and also because he spends all of his time watching old cartoons. That's why he's the mask. When other people put on the mask, they should not manifest in the exact same way that they do with Stanley.
They do not.
But they always, always do.
And by that we mean the people who aren't the villains.
Especially this baby. We're gonna get into some of the shit that this baby does.
They don't
And
even follow their own freaking canon.
it doesn't make sense. And here's the interesting thing. Like I'm explaining this now. Like this cartoon didn't explain it to you. But the cartoon does explain it to you. Even as they're breaking their own rules. On to the later half of this episode. This all too important plot line. Charlie wants Stanley to help him sell this robot house. Now I'm assuming that robot house couldn't pay his mortgage and it defaulted and the bank covered it, and now Stanley wants to sell the robot house. And not Stanley, but Charlie wants to sell the robot house. And by helping Charlie, I mean Charlie wants Stanley to do everything. So that Charlie can sell the robot house and make all the money. At this point, Stanley has already decided that he's not going to be the mask anymore. He took the mask and threw it in some quick drying cement after the whole robbery thing. Why? Because his love interest left after that. um, he imagines himself becoming the mask and saying no to Charlie, but he doesn't. He just bows down and does whatever Charlie tells him to do. Why? Charlie's not even an intimidating figure. I don't understand. Where's your backbone, Stanley? You had a little bit of backbone. Even before the mask. This version of Stanley is so much worse than the last
He
one
has
ever.
he has gone negative. He has not just regressed. He has gone to the negative.
He has. Now, after Stanley agrees to help Charlie clean up and fix his robot house, Stanley goes outside and he gets kidnapped by Walter. Walter takes him to the scientist's evil lab, where the evil scientist explains his evil plan because they always, always do. He wants the mask. Stanley tells him that he doesn't have the mask, he threw it away in some cement, and the scientist doesn't believe him. So he gets Walter to bring in Milo, who's trapped in a bar cage, and Walter attempts to crush Milo when all of a sudden someone has broken in. And you're thinking, huh, who could it be? Is it one of those detectives? Maybe it's Charlie. No, it's Peggy, that shit. And why did she break in? To save Stanley? No, to do a story about the mask stopping an evil scientist. Because she doesn't give a shit about Stanley.
Isn't this funny? uh,
Uh, well, they find Peggy, but not before Stanley is able to escape. Partially because there was a clapper installed in the evil laboratory. How did Stanley know that it was installed there? Why would they install a clapper to begin with? I don't know. Stanley does this little clap on, clap off. The lights go off. Stanley jets. And Walter goes after him. Now, Stanley ends up at the construction site trying to get the mask. This part is so stupid. He's trying to get the mask. He's surprised that the cement is already turned into concrete. And a construction worker comes out of nowhere and says, "Well, that's quick drying
Pre-drying cement.
that's quick drying cement." And like he somehow knows what Ipkiss was talking about in context before Walter shows up and of course, scares the construction worker away. During this time, Stanley he gets his feet stuck in cement, and Walter's approaching him, and the part one ends. And it ends with the credits. And the credits is the theme song, and some yellow text in front of the ugliest green of all time.
Mass green, baby poop green.
That you really want to know how much effort they put into this series?
3 seasons worth.
Look at the credits. Look at the opening credits and the ending credits. No effort at all.
Save money, cut costs.
So part two, because this storyline needed to be broken up into 2 parts. It didn't.
It's we'll see a movie, a 1-hour movie premiere type thing.
When Stanley was stuck in the cement in the last episode, very fortunately, a steel beam moves by, and he grabs onto it and up to the top of the construction site that's nearby. And up there is a guy eating his lunch on the steel beams. Does that happen for real? 'Cause that's one of those things that you see all the time
I don't know.
in cartoons and television shows.
You see him in like old
I don't
timey
think you see
pictures,
it in real
right?
life. What was
Don't
that?
you see him in old timey pictures?
Yeah, and in old timey pictures. You gotta call them old timey. The moving pictures. Those old timey movers. Anyway, Walter follows Stanley. He gets on that steel beam. The guy who was eating his lunch gets tossed away. But fortunately, the lunch is still there, and Walter slips on a banana. Ha, 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 comedy classic.
It's funny. So funny, right, guys? So funny. Please say it's funny.
Please say it's funny. Anyway, he falls in cement, and no, he falls on concrete, and that reveals the mask buried beneath it. So Stanley runs up, he gets the mask, and they quote unquote fight. Alright, and there's some shit in here that doesn't make sense. For instance, this line was said. This line, when the cookies get tough, do as the Romans do. Are you for real? Does it make
When the cookies get tough, do as the Romans do? What is. Am I missing something?
Yes. Yes. I think it's supposed to be an what's it, amalgamation
Crumbling?
of cookies crumbling, going gets tough, and do as the Romans. But combining them together isn't comedy. It's not funny. It's just a thing now. But when he does this, he dresses up like a Roman and gets in a cement truck and pours cement on Walter, and the cement dries. And apparently, that's what Romans do. Romans drive cement trucks.
Quick drying cement.
After that, the mask breaks back into the lab and fights Dr. Scientist Bot. But after succeeding, he leaves the house insurance policy. Now, we didn't mention this. Charlie wanted him to drop off this insurance policy for the house. So if anything happens to the house, Charlie makes bank. He works for a bank and he makes bank. Question, does he deserve money? Hell no. But we're supposed to like him and be happy for him. Supposed to. After that whole ordeal, Stanley tries to destroy the mask. For the good of mankind, really. And Peggy is like, don't destroy the mask. Think about my career. I hate her. I hate her. You know, she's like the worst April. She's April from the darkest timeline. After this, Stanley goes back to the robot house with Charlie. Charlie is reading a comic book. Stanley is doing all the work. What type of work? Electrician work. Not work that a random individual would be able to do. But it's okay. Charlie has a guidebook that he's not looking at. Let's talk about the wiring in this house. Alright? Why the hell does the red plug not plug into the other red plug? That completely defeats the purpose of the color coding system that wires have. I need to drink this apple.
You've never had to put the hooks, little plastic part on top of an Ethernet cable, have you?
You mean like on Ethernet cable?
Yeah.
I never had to do it, but I've been studying it.
Its wiring is weird because everything's color coded and colors go in order, right? So you would think orange, blue, green, green, brown, stripe brown, but no, it is stripe orange, stripe green, blue, green, stripe brown, brown. You get the greens are separated. And because the way the wiring works is that each colored wire is paired up together and wrapped. If like a hook breaks and you gotta put a new one in, new plastic part, you gotta unfold the wires and put everything in that order. But that doesn't want to stay in that order. So keep trying to go back, to the ones that are the same color as them.
Off topic, do you have one of those things
At work.
that you used to like scrape wires and put those things on there?
Work.
Oh.
Yeah.
Have you had to do that?
Yes.
Oh,
that's how I know this, and that's why I hate it. It takes an hour sometimes.
Why can't they just buy an Ethernet cable?
We got to replace it because it's just the little hook breaks off because some people are being annoying.
Well,
yeah, that's off topic. Sorry. It's just the whole color coded thing
just learned something.
The whole color coded thing you sort of brought back, like these nightmares I have having to do Ethernet cables. I hate doing Ethernet cables. Especially, oh god, Ethernet 6 is the worst because they decided to put a little plastic thing in the middle of everything. But for no reason. No reason is there. No reason. None. Just to make it more difficult.
But these weren't that kind of cable. These are like audio cables.
These are audio cables. Sorry, I've gotten off topic, but Ethernet cables are bullshit.
It's okay. We are officially more educational than Country Mouse and City Mouse combined. Anyhow, Dr. Chicken Face shows up, but it's just his head. And
Spider head.
This is something that happens. Prepare yourself. It gets into like, I don't know, this mainframe area, this hub, and a plug comes out of his butt. It is a literal butt plug. Are you for real? And he plugs it into the house, and suddenly he takes over all the robotic shit that's inside, which includes robot dogs, robot maids, robot hands connected to absolutely nothing that comes from absolutely nowhere. So, this is his revenga. Charlie kind of just runs away.
He got to have his vengeance, his revenge, his revengeance.
Charlie is basically useless. Now, the whole point is, at this point, is to cause destruction, blame it on Stanley, and then take the mask afterwards? Does he even still want the mask at this point? I don't know. But the house grows spider legs. It becomes a quad pod. That's what you would call it. It's not a tripod because they have 3 legs. And the robot arms that come out of nowhere throw Stanley into some hatch. I guess it's a laundry hatch or an air conditioner hatch. I don't know, but I don't know. It fits a full-grown man. That's the important part. Ends up in a washing machine. Why? So when he puts the mask on inside of the washing machine, he can come out and say, "Soaking." Because,
Smoking.
instead of. I'm not laughing because it's
He's
funny.
dying.
I'm laughing because it's sad.
He's dying on the inside. It's okay, Snippy.
Oh, gosh.
It's horrible.
There's only one episode after this. Alright. Now, on the outside, the lieutenant and his detective sidekick have decided to use tear gas to stop the mask in the giant robot house. I have no idea why he thinks that would work. I don't see tear gas being the right opposition to tomb physics.
They don't know any better. They don't know what tomb
Now,
physics are.
they see it every
They don't
day.
know what it is. They're denying the truth.
The mask bursts out of the house in a cartoon car. Why? To waste time. He comes out of the house in his car. He makes a joke and then immediately breaks in to the house. Why? Why is this happening? So he breaks into the house after breaking out of the house for 5 minutes. Nope. For 2 seconds. Nope. For like 40 seconds. And he finds out that the house is about to destroy a children's hospital. So he breaks out of the house. He deals with this by creating a train track and getting one of the legs of the house to fall on a metal roller skate as it goes down the train track and out of the way of the children's hospital into the ocean. Now, he's in the ocean for some reason. The house is in the ocean. The doctor's in the ocean. Milo's in the ocean. Everyone's in the ocean. And Milo puts on the mask as Stanley. Whenever Stanley just kind of flies off the screen for some reason, the mask automatically comes off. Don't ask me why. And this gives an opportunity for Milo to put on the mask. So when the police come, they think Milo is the actual mask, and that Stanley is just there for some reason.
No, it's fine. This Stanley guy, he just happens to be there. No, don't worry about it. Look, that dog is the mask. The mask who always has a human body is now a dog.
Well, because he had a wolf face one time, and you wouldn't be able to see Milo's body under the water,
Oh, yeah,
maybe it makes sense?
that's true.
Anyhow, everyone ends up on a bridge. Kind of like the end of the movie, right? And as you guess, Peggy's like, blah, 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 my career. Blah, 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 Stanley. Blah, 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 you have to do this for me. And Sam's like, I'm never going to be the mask again, you crazy bitch. Unfortunately, he didn't deliver the insurance policy, and he has like 1 minute to do so. So he immediately puts the mask on. And he gets one more smoking in before the story arc ends. Yeah, one more in. And then you get Baby's Wild Ride. You think it can't get any worse, and you're right, it probably can't. But then you have preferences, It might be a little bit worse. And this one might be a little bit worse. Let me tell you about this baby. In this episode, that chick, the neighbor chick, just throws his baby at him once again. And Stanley has to raise his baby. And she wants this baby to watch Barnaby the dinosaur. Why? I don't know. It's just what she wants. The baby instead wants ice cream. Because for some reason, Stanley's freezer is just ice cream. All over the place. It's just buckets and buckets of ice cream.
Probably got it while he was the mask off screen before.
That would have been reasonable, actually. Now, when Stanley is trying to negotiate with this baby, the baby finds the mask again. This is not the first time, nor the last time, that the baby will find this mask. That's what makes this series, that the entire series, even though I have not seen anything but these three episodes, it makes this entire series a complete nightmare. So, the baby puts on the mask, and the first thing he says is smoking. But in baby. Are you for realio? And this results in a number of questions. Like I said before, how the mask works. The baby should not have the exact same super ego as Stanley, but he does. But here's an even bigger question. Would a baby that young, because this baby's not even like 3 months old, would a baby that young have a super ego at all? Like, would the mask even be effective? Technically, it probably doesn't even have the memory to start to create an ego. And you think this baby wouldn't be able to do much because it can't remember anything and it doesn't know what anything is because it's a baby. Spoilers. Spoiler alert. For something that we're going to something that we're going to spoil later. This baby turns into a xenomorph. How does a baby...
The mask covers his entire body.
How does it know what a xenomorph is?
The mask knows. Stanley watched Aliens one time. Then he put on the mask, and so the mask now knows.
But the mask is supposed to be the one in control. Is it?
I don't know, is it?
We don't know. We don't know how this works anymore. We don't know because it's not following its rules. The baby leaves. What do you call a baby cart? A stroller. Yes. The baby stroller becomes like this heavy metal motorcycle inspired road rage machine. And the baby has one mission: to eat all the ice cream. All of the ice cream. No ice cream is safe. Starts with the simple ice cream man. Eats up all the ice cream. Then it goes to an ice cream store. Eats up all the ice cream. For some reason, there's a group of bikers outside. I don't know why. I mean, I guess bikers like ice cream too. It would be insane if they didn't. The bikers don't appreciate this green-faced baby. And the baby kind of just beats them all up. Using the series, you know what? Like, we are explaining this, but like I said before, we are pretty much ignoring all the gags. Because all of them are bad, and they are very rapid fire. So, there is cartoony stuff here, but it's best not to talk about them. The baby beats up these bikers, and the bikers like, okay, you're a tough little dude. None of them realize that the baby is a baby. For some
They
reason.
refuse to acknowledge that it's a child.
But they say, oh, listen, join up with us. And the baby does. Now, their boss is a guy named Lonnie the Shark. Why? Because he has long fingernails and shark teeth, and he's a loan shark. And also, he deals in gambling a little bit.
Doesn't his hair look like a shark fin a little bit?
I think so. It's not something I pay too much attention to, but you're
I
right.
mean, that's why I thought they called him the shark.
That would have been a better reason. While the bikers are driving around with this baby, Ifka shows up. Don't know how he knows where the baby is, but he does. And the bikers don't like Ifkis because he called them fine gentlemen. So they pretty much beat him up and stuffed him in the trunk of his own car. Meanwhile, the baby has left them to grab an ice cream truck. Not the ice cream man ice cream truck. An 18-wheeler that's transporting ice cream. However, it's a trap. Because the two detectives, they talked to the original ice cream man that got robbed, and they realized the mask is going around eating all the ice cream. So, this is when the baby turns into a xenomorph and beats up Lieutenant Kelly, the detective that's super serial, probably because his name is Kelly. Then the baby leaves them, and he finds the gang again, and they go see the boss. Meanwhile, Milo is driving the car, since Stanley is stuck in the trunk, because Megatron has a dog. You gotta get money where you can find it. Now, there is one thing I liked about this episode. And that is the fact that Lonnie the Shark ended up being Barnaby the Dinosaur. I don't know, it seemed like a decent plot twist to me. Thing is, when the baby was drinking his milk out of a bottle, they didn't think that looked cool. They didn't think it was cool for a grown man to be drinking out of a bottle. Because they still don't know that the masked baby is a masked baby and not a grown man. So they try to pull the bottle away from the baby. The baby's not having it. So all of them together, it's three really big fat guys and some skinny guy that orders them around. Pull on that bottle until the mask goes flying off. Suddenly, they have a baby. Skinny guy that's leading them is like, how do I explain this? And that's when Lonnie the Shark shows up in his Barnaby costume. Now, when the baby had run in with Lieutenant Kelly in the back of that ice cream truck, they bugged him. Lonnie sees this, and he says this. He's not only a baby, he's a cop. Are you for real? Lonnie ended up. No, screw that. Milo shows up in that car and gets the mask back to Stanley. Stanley puts the mask on in the trunk. Alright? He says his line. Smoking. Why? Because he has to. While he's taking care of the gang, Barnaby kidnaps the baby. The mask in his Tomb Physics motorcycle chases after them, but he flies way too high. Overshoots the building completely. Now he's in the atmosphere. He falls all the way back down and loses the mask. Good thing that the baby finds the mask again. And the baby takes out Lonnie in time for the cops to arrive. Whew. Alright. That's the end of that episode. Oh boy. First thing I want to say. We did not mention. If McFisticuffs was here, we would get a full number. How many times they said smoking and somebody stopped me and all other catchphrases.
And we'll say it was enough.
More than enough. Much, much more than enough. And I just want you to know, just because we didn't mention it every time doesn't mean that it didn't happen often, rapidly, and played a grand role in increasing the shittiness of this cartoon. Alright. I'm actually gonna let T.Whales go first on his opinion on this one.
Oh, good. What did I think of this? I was gonna say movie. This show. It tried. It tried. But it just couldn't capture what made the mask the mask, I feel. Like, Rob Paulson did a pretty decent job of being Jim Carrey without being Jim Carrey. But I feel the material he was given just wasn't good. Maybe because this was the first few episodes. Maybe it gets better later on. I don't know. But these first three
Don't tell
episodes.
yourself that lie.
Look, the last episode of this series is a crossover with Ace Ventura, in which the mask gets put on Ace's butt. So the mask gets put on Ace's butt. Now
I don't want to be about this life anymore.
I remember seeing this show like a few times when I was a kid. I was like, hey, it's a mass TV show. And that's it. It's the same feeling I have when I saw all the Ace Ventura TV shows. I was like, hey, it's an Ace Ventura TV show.
That's it.
Or when I saw the Dumb and Dumber TV show, hey, it's a Dumb and Dumber TV show.
Oh, that had a TV show?
There are it's three Jim Carrey movies that had TV shows. Despite the fact that the movies weren't really for kids.
Yeah.
But I guess they were much more lax back then in the early 90s. By the way, this came out in 1995. 95. I don't know. Do we have? We don't even have a rating system. I give it
We don't.
a 2 out of 5.
He revived the rating system from the dead.
I gotta give it. The only thing I can say is a number. That's all I got. Is a number.
All right. Well, there's one word for this series, and that is pandering. It is pandering.
That's a good way of saying it.
So hard. It's like, oh, you like The Mask? Well, let me hit you with all these catchphrases from The Mask and some of the exact same gags from The Mask, except not nearly as well done, and all the exact same costumes from The Mask, except without any of the context. And the characters. Peggy aside, because she's a little shit, the characters in The Mask were likable. Now, the reason that Peggy is a little shit, because even she was likable before she turned heel. In this cartoon, all of those likable characters are assholes. There's not a single person here, except Stanley, that's not an asshole. And that's not very entertaining to watch. As we mentioned it before, this is negative Stanley. He is even worse off than he was at the beginning of the movie. That's not fun to watch either. None of the gags are funny. They introduced this mask baby, which just brought on nightmares and ideas from future nightmares that they want to sell as feature films. Milo's okay, but if they had managed to screw up Milo, I would literally be in all of them. Well, let's see. Like I said, it's not funny. It's not really entertaining because all the characters are assholes. The stories are lazy. Is there any saving grace here? I think there must.
Like I said, later episodes or maybe something, and he has like a variety of villains he fights, but
you know, when I was watching this, I was thinking, this is like Earthworm Jim or The Tick, in that it's a superhero story with ridiculous villains. that is often more in comedy than melodrama, as superheroes often are. And of course, there is absolutely no occasion where you would watch this cartoon over either Earthworm Jim or The Tick. Just watch The Tick. Now, before I finish what I have to say, no, I will not continue using Ferrilio
For reals.
in
It's very, very Aziz.
next
Very,
podcast.
very Aziz Ansari of you.
I was just doing that so, you get a sense of how much they love their catchphrases. And overall, if he gave it a 2 out of 5, was that it?
I gave it a 2, yeah.
Yeah, I give it a 0. I'm just straight 0. I give it a 0 out of 0 because at its best, it can only be 0.
Like Stanley at the beginning of the series. Just 0.
I'm disappointed because I thought this was going to be, if not good, at least more interesting than it was. But alas, I suppose let's go read about the comics. I think the comics are actually super dark. For those of you that don't already know, The Mask was based on a comic. Well, on that incredibly depressing note, we bring this show to an end. A little bit of foreshadowing, however. Our next cartoon is a cartoon that is based on a movie. Yeah, funny how that's happening all of a sudden.
Is it the Ace Ventura show? Is it the Dumb and Dumber show?
No,
Is it Timon and Pumbaa?
no, no. Well, actually, man, I love Timon and Pumbaa. I would love to watch some Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah.
Like right now. Just watch this out of my head. I thought that was a good show. Um, I love the little Stand By Me music video, but now we're getting off topic. Or on topic. We're getting in between topics. So, thank you for joining us. I'm Snipples.
T.Whales.
And if you have something to say about this show or our podcast, please hit us in the comments and check us out on the YouTubes and send us an email at cartoonkilowatt@gmail.com. Later.
Bye.